The Children's Bible, Deuteronomy 6 through 30. Moses' last words to his people. The 40 years of wandering were coming to an end, and Moses spoke to the people of Israel, saying, Now these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments which the Lord your God commanded me to teach you, so that you might do them in the land which you go to possess. Hear therefore, O Israel, and be sure to do it, that all may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as the Lord God of your fathers promised you, in the land flowing with milk and honey. The Lord our God is one Lord, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them carefully to your children. You shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk along the road, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as a frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. You shall fear the Lord your God, and serve him, and shall swear by his name. You shall not go out after other gods, the gods of the people who are round about you, lest the anger of the Lord your God be kindled against you, and destroy you from the face of the earth. And it shall come to pass, when your son asks you in time to come, What do the testimonies and the statutes and the judgments mean? That you shall say to your son, We were Pharaoh's servants in Egypt, and the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand. And the Lord showed signs and wonders, great and grievous, against Egypt, against Pharaoh, and against all his household, before our eyes. And he brought us out from there, that he might bring us into and give us the land, which he promised to our fathers. And the Lord commanded us to obey all these statutes, to fear the Lord our God, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe all these commandments before the Lord our God, as he commanded us. All these commandments I have given you, so that you may live and multiply, and go in to possess the land which the Lord promised to your fathers. And you shall remember all the way which the Lord your God led you for these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble you and to test you, to know what was in your hearts, whether you would keep his commandments or not. And he humbled you, and caused you to go hungry, and fed you with manna, which neither you nor your fathers had ever seen before, so that he might make you know that man does not live by bread only, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. You shall also remember that as a father punishes his son, so the Lord your God punishes you. Therefore you shall keep the commandments of the Lord your God, to walk in his ways, and to stand in awe of him. For the Lord your God is bringing you to a good land, a land of brooks and water, of fountains and wells that spring out of valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley, of figs and vines and pomegranates, a land of olive oils and honey, a land where you shall have plenty of bread to eat, where you shall not lack anything, a land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills you may dig brass. When you have eaten and are full, then you shall bless the Lord your God, and give him thanks for the good land he has given you. Beware that you forget not the Lord your God, that you keep his commandments and his judgments and his laws, which I have given you. Take care that when you have eaten and are full, and have built fine houses to live in, and when your herds and flocks multiply, and your silver and gold, and all that you have, has increased, that you do not become proud and forget the Lord your God, who has brought you forth out of the land of Egypt, from the house of slavery, who led you through that great and terrible wilderness, where there were fierce serpents and scorpions, and drought, and not a drop of water. Do not forget the Lord who brought you water out of the rock of flint, who fed you in the wilderness with manna, so that he might humble you and test you. Take care that you do not say in your hearts, My power and the strength of my hand have got me these riches. But you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who makes you able to get riches, so that he may be able to keep the promise which he made to your fathers, as he does today. And it shall be, if you ever forget the Lord your God, and follow other gods and worship them, you shall indeed perish. You shall perish as the nations which the Lord has destroyed before your eyes, because you would not obey the voice of the Lord your God. And Moses continued, saying, Hear, O Israel, you are to pass over Jordan, to go in to possess nations greater and stronger than you, Understand, therefore, that the Lord your God is going over before, that he shall destroy them as a raging fire, and he shall bring them down before you. So you shall drive them out and destroy them quickly, as the Lord has said. Do not say in your heart, after the Lord your God has driven them before you, it is because of my own goodness that the Lord has brought me in to possess this land. Instead, it is because of the wickedness of these nations that the Lord is driving them out before you. It is not because of your own goodness, or the uprightness of your heart, but because of their wickedness, and so that the Lord your God may keep the promise which he made to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Therefore, as I have said, you shall keep these words of mine in your heart and in your soul, and you shall teach them to your children, speaking of them at all times, when you are in your houses, and when you are making a journey, when you lie down to sleep, and when you rise up in the morning. You shall write them on the doorways of your houses and on your gates, so that you may live long, and so that your children may live long, in the land which the Lord promised to your fathers. And it shall come to pass, if you listen diligently to the voice of the Lord your God, and observe and do all his commandments, that the Lord your God will set you on high above all the nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come to you, if you listen to the voice of the Lord your God. Blessed you shall be in the city, and blessed you shall be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of your body, and the fruit of your ground, and the fruit of your cattle, and the flocks of your sheep. Blessed you shall be when you come in, and blessed you shall be when you go out. But it shall come to pass, if you will not listen to the voice of the Lord your God, and observe all, and do all his commandments, that all these curses shall come upon you. Cursed you shall be in the city, and cursed you shall be in the field. Cursed shall be the fruit of your body, and the fruit of your land, and the flocks of your sheep. Cursed you shall be when you come in, and cursed you shall be when you go out. The Lord shall strike you with a burning fever, and with a sword, and with mildew, and these plagues shall plague you until you perish. The Lord shall make the rain of your land powder and dust. From heaven it shall come down upon you until you are destroyed. The Lord shall bring a nation against you from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies, a nation whose tongue you shall not understand, a nation of fierce appearance, which shall show no favor to the old or young. It shall besiege you at all your gates until your high walls come down in which you trusted. It shall besiege you throughout all the land which the Lord your God has given you. If you will not do all the words of this law that are written in this book, the Lord shall scatter you among all people from one end of the earth to the other. And there you shall serve other gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known, gods of wood and stone. And among these nations you shall find no ease, nor shall the sole of your foot have rest. But the Lord shall give you there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. Your life shall hang in doubt before you, and you shall fear day and night, and shall have no assurance for your life. In the morning you shall say, Would to God it were evening. And in the evening you shall say, Would to God it were morning. And the Lord shall bring you back to Egypt in ships, and there you shall be offered for sale as slaves. But no man shall buy you. And it shall come to pass, when all these things have happened to you, the blessing and the curse, you shall return to the Lord your God, and shall obey his voice, according to all that I command you this day, you and your children with all your heart and with all your soul. Then the Lord your God will have compassion upon you, and will return and gather you from all nations where he has scattered you. And the Lord will bring you into the land which your fathers possessed, and you shall possess it. And he will do you good, and multiply you more than your fathers. See, I have set before you this day life and good, and death and evil. I will call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, so both you and your offspring may live and love the Lord your God.